We're going to start our July 8th workshop. We just had a prayer, but let's have another. Let's all stand and I'll lead us in a quick prayer for this morning. Father, we just come to you today. We're asking for wisdom and guidance that the decisions that we make here today, they don't just help the employees, but they serve the citizens of Minden. That the decisions that we make, that they would benefit everybody. That you would bless the efforts of this administration, and that the rewards of that would be a return on the investments we made, Lord. We just want to be very wise stewards of what you've given us to be over, Lord. We thank you for the opportunity to serve the citizens and all you have done to bless the great city of Minden. It's in your name, Jesus, we pray. Amen. Amen. All right, guys. I can't tell you how glad I am that Melanie is here today. I was preparing to go through this with y'all Monday night, and I kept thinking to myself, I sure wish Melanie was going to be here. So, we're going to start by looking at the budget. I want to remind everybody that a budget workshop is a time for the council to come together. It's a time for the council to ask questions to me and the mayor. The council can ask a question to anybody in the room. If needed to, we could call in any department heads, but this is y'all's time for us in an open forum to come together and have a discussion. No action is taken on anything in this room, and so therefore we're not required to have any public input in any way. So I just want to kind of put that out there before we start. That way we can focus on the meeting, take care of the business that we have to take care of, and not turn this into a situation to where we can't handle business. So with that introduction, let's begin. Now, I want to thank the council for their hard work. I know y'all been studying this budget. You've looked it over. You've asked a lot of questions. I'm sure you still have questions. Melanie's worked really hard on this. As you can see, we're on draft 8. That means we've revised this thing 8 times already. It doesn't come to you as one that we don't feel like. Melanie and I met as recent as 30 minutes before the meeting earlier. And we feel like it's one the city can maintain. Either we've got before you 2 options, but as I said last time, there are infinite ways that we can handle this. The cheapest thing to do is spend no money on anything. Let everybody go home and just sit in the corner and do nothing. But that is actually the most expensive thing you can do, because you can't provide the services that people have come to depend on. So, we have made a lot of progress over the last years with our streets. This budget has $1.5 million allocated to street repairs and street overlays. This project has money for water and sewer in it. It has money for recreation, which gives our people things to do. It has public works projects in it. It has the airport project in it. And then the overarching subject that we really need to make a decision on is how we want to go about, if we want to go. All right, so the city has a long-standing precedence at the term change of giving. That's when we give, if we can and want to, an impactful raise to the employees. And that's been kind of the point of discussion among us. And Melanie and I felt very comfortable with a 4% across the board raise, if that's something that y'all want to do. 0's an option, 2's an option, infinity's an option, but within our, it's about living within our means. It doesn't mean we're going to deplete reserves. This is what we felt really comfortable with, was a 4% across the board. After some discussion and looking at the fire department's numbers, in their request, which was originally, I know the chief says it was a little different, but for the sake of this meeting, I'm gonna say $1 an hour raise, which you would, according to what you said at the last meeting, $1 would be even, you'd be even happier with. And the police department had asked for, just look at it and give us an option and gave us some increments there. Now, I'm calling it the 411. It's $1 for fire, $1 for police, and 4% across the board for everybody else. So, you know, what I kind of need to know from y'all is, do you want to do a 411 plan, or would you rather just do a 4, or would you rather do 0? But we're getting to the point. It's time. I kind of need to know. And then beyond that is any nuanced questions you have. So I've said my introductory time. I've taken 7 minutes already. I'm going to turn it over to the council from here for anything that you want to know.
Well, Mayor, I'd like to, I mean, like I said in the previous meeting, you know, I'm looking at it from the last budget draft that I was going through that I highlighted and was the draft 7, looking at the 4% across the board. You know, that's kind of my spectrum, but, you know, I have other questions that Wayne and I need to sit down and go over.
Okay.
I try to go through this thing in detail, and so, of course, I have some detailed questions that, you know, scheduled with Mulaney to sit down and go over. You know, she kind of caught me up to speed. You and her did last time on the workers' comp. It was so different. You know, we've got some variations in the salary percentages. You know, Civic Center is 7.5% instead of 4%, you know, so I still, you know, have some questions to sit down and go through as far as understanding where that is, you know. But a couple of things that I want to ask is in the budget. I didn't see, if it is in the budget, is on the Rec Center Department 22 is there's a request to replace the roof for about $250,000 up there. Is that in this budget?
No.
Okay.
So, and we mentioned this before, but it was several meetings ago. So I just want to remind you.
I apologize if I forgot.
No, this year, so traditionally, what we've done, and guys, you know, you just pick a plan and you go with it. We try to make our best estimation with what will best serve the city. So the first year we were in office, we chose to fund police department with new cars and buy a fire truck. The second year we were in office, we added more vehicles and more fire trucks. That may not be exactly how it went down, but the third year we bought air tanks and built, you know, we built public works buildings. We've done an awful lot of things. This year, I kind of said, all right, with this being a term change, with this being a time where the city usually stops and does something across the board, I'm not personally comfortable, but again, it's up to the wishes of y'all. But I'm not comfortable with doing something across the board and fulfilling a lot of the wish list. I've told my department heads that, look, we got either yin or we got a yang here. Right. This year we're going to have to put some of our niceties to the side for the sake of actually focusing on something across the board. So that being said, everything in the wish list, Mulaney and I kind of said, well, we're just going to pause right there. We went through it thoroughly. Anything that was like piddling but important, so something that was like $700. A lot of times we went to the department heads and said, you've got money right now, go buy what you need if you need it. And so we took care of a lot of the wish list that way. And there's things that we didn't do that were asked to be done that we felt like wasn't a necessity, something that the department heads seem, I believe, are willing to defer for you. Well,
General insurance is, kind of creeping up on us, isn't it?
yeah, we try to project, so our general insurance, that always hits us in January. And so Mulaney and I have just kind of learned to go ahead and budget it higher because it always goes up.
The, airport hangar, the airport sales for the fuel, you've got at $100,000 less. Is that because of the military exercise was overstated that year?
Yes, and we probably could with rental fees going up, we probably could look at amending up the hangar rental revenues a little bit,
Yeah.
but there's gonna be minimum effect on that.
Okay. I know the military talked about doing that exercise
did.
every so often, and so,
The, since you brought up airport fuel, while we were busy running the city, Molly has got the airport tour, and Mulaney, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's actually making a positive money instead of losing money.
She's done very well with it.
The people that came before us really had some foresight when they got the airport to where it is, because right now with all the eating activity and other activity in the area, it is really busy, like you said earlier.
yeah. Molly does a great job at, you know, not only managing, but, you know, she takes time to post those
Yeah.
aircrafts that come in, and, you know, we get some interesting aircrafts in there, but it stays busy out there. I enjoy watching.
She's selling a lot of fuel.
Yep.
Anybody from the council has any questions?
I tried to get through and highlight, and there was one. Okay. Uh, 19, Department 19. And we may discuss this, we have a
yes.
lot of different discussions about having to update software and things like that. But, you know, in HR, we've got, obviously, with their software down there to the tune of 570% increase, you know, that, and then,
Hold on.
and then the other item is the other professional services, where we're doing 40 grand in that
So let me explain that.
Sure.
All right. So if you rewind for about 3 years, we had April. For a year, we had April and Vicky because we hired, and I hope y'all have all got to know Vicky. She's been excellent.
Yes.
Really proud of. I liked April and I liked Vicky. And so for a year, we had two in that department. Well, the plan was always to replace April and Vicky. April did an excellent job getting Vicky job ready. That HR job is not just like a corporate HR, it's government HR, which complicates everything. So then we handed it off to Vicky. Well, what happened to us, we were getting majorly bottlenecked about May. If I'm thinking right, Melanie, we got majorly bottlenecked. And so we were onboarding, and the onboarding process for a city employee, whether they're part-time, full-time, there's a lot of moving parts. The police department, y'all onboarded a lot of people, and we were onboarding lots of people because we started Department 24. Well, one kind of unforeseen consequence of adding a bunch of employees is a lot of administration. So we had an applicant for another department that had incredible HR background. Her name is Yvette. So we brought her on for a temporary time to help with the onboarding of all these employees. If you overwork your employees to the point where they're in a state of overwhelm, you don't have any success. Y'all understand. So we had to bring on some help. The reason her department's so high, when we discuss the software, I think you'll like the software discussion.
Yeah, that's the.
But as far as the 40,000 is sincerely for a very adept and experienced person to come help Vicky for 20 hours a week to keep her on track. I would appreciate your support in that. But as far as the software, we have budgeted money for HR Hero. Now, that sounds a lot more fun than it practically is when you go into the program. But what that's going to do, through several lawsuits we've had and different personnel issues we've had, we've learned that our handbook, if y'all rewind 3.5 years, we adopted the handbook like the last council had it, and I told y'all we would work on it and we'd fix it as we found problems. Well, the trouble is we found lots of problems. So Vicky and Yvette and Neil, Erwin, and Melanie, and myself, and Ashley, and Zach are all on like a team to try to get y'all a handbook in a month or two to look at and potentially adopt. We also have Aaron Green studying over the civil service portion of it, because he has even indicated on a number of times that we follow the civil service rules to a T, and the handbook gets us in a pickle because it's full of contradictions. So we're getting we've made a lot of progress on the handbook, and I hope to have y'all a draft to study. So that's what the software is for. It won't necessarily be a forever expense. It's just something that I think if y'all would support it, we would like to get that under control. It does a lot of things also. The idea is to have an employee portal where you can log in and see the handbook. It'll also allow us chiefs, if you'll support this, and other departments, we will be able to upload your policies into the program, and we can all follow this kind of the same set. If you had a question, you could go in there and know what the policies are, if y'all would support that. So that's why her department, yes, it absolutely increased. So, but if y'all would support that, it would be sincerely to the benefit of the city. It's building our handbook. That's the biggest thing it's doing. Yeah, it has preloaded state-specific policies that are already ready to go and adopted by other cities in the state. already built into it, so it's really robust.
And it notifies us as a state law changes, it'll send a notification of this law has changed. You probably wanna look at page 1, 2, 3 of your handbook and update it to be in compliance with this.
I think that could save untold amounts of money for liabilities and compliance purposes.
Yeah, I think definitely we, as a group, we need to be all on the same page with policies and procedures and all, and it's accessible to anybody and everybody, you know.
It's hard to follow a rule you don't know
Yeah,
exists.
that's right.
It also time dates everything, it kind of solidifies it in an organized way. So you can't get into the argument, well, that rule wasn't in effect at this time. Yes, it was. This rule supersedes this one. No, it doesn't. So I think that'll, especially on our civil service side, I think that'll be very helpful. What else y'all got?
So the in-house tournament fees, you moved to 24, right?
Yes, sir.
I know we had some money out there in Department 23 for engineering, and we've done a lot out there, but with possibly continuing the fence and some of that other stuff, do we want to leave any money? And, you know, and I know a lot of it's paid by grants and
Mhm.
such, but I just, you know,
We moved that, I moved it underneath the last two, the federal grant
Okay.
line and the state, just because we can track it a lot easier that way to see hand for hand, we're getting back what we paid or not.
We're trying to work towards project reporting
yeah,
kind of style, where we can actually see how the numbers are affecting things.
it's,
Also, there's several grants that are very unclear if we're gonna get them. And we took the strategy this year, we're not gonna budget those. We're gonna we'll just amend the budget when it's time, when they come.
so, the Department of Water and Electric Fund. The 34-29-007 convenience fee. Is that gonna go down, you think, Mulaney, with the way the state has done their ruling?
So utility billing is excluded from that.
Is, okay,
Mhm.
For municipality.
Yes, for municipalities,
okay,
so it
So-
won't affect us.
okay. Department 37. 36-26-007.
What department, I'm sorry?
37, water production.
Okay.
Is that number increasing significantly because of the new, chemicals?
Which number was it?
46-26-007 chemicals.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to go up that kind of money.
That's what they
The
project.
state is, they're handling us pretty heavy on water.
LDA.
Sorry.
No, they're not hounding us on that. They're hounding us on, the state, LDH just has all these requirements. Remember too, we're adding a whole 2 million gallon tank.
Oh, yeah.
So we gotta project for more processing.
The, Department 40. $46,33,004.
$4304? Give me the last four.
004. 33,004.
Okay.
Other professional services.
What's your question?
Well, we're just, we're budgeting an additional $305,000 in that.
In that,
It-
That's moving the, under distribution repairs is where we had the interstate lighting last year,
yeah.
and I reclassified.
That's
it.
right.
That's what it is.
That's right, because we had to match, we had to do a 5.
And with all, they keep pushing that project, man.
So it's not looking like it's gonna go for the end of this year?
No.
I wanna say Tyler, the latest update is supposed to kick off in the next budget year.
Do what next?
I'm pretty sure Tyler confirmed it kick off next budget year.
Next budget.
That's what it was confirmed for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I just, when somebody asks me, I'm like, it'll probably be a year. And every year I have to say the same thing.
I don't mean to digress, but, going back to that lighting project, I'm fighting the state on lowering the speed limit on Louisville Road, which is in the spot I'm wanting to lower it, they wanna address all these other issues with other intersections that has nothing to do. I mean, can we I would like to say us as a collective group, put together a letter and send it to Adam and Wayne and say, look, we're missing revenue from these lights being down. It's been too long. I mean, Terry and I started this endeavor, and we made a little bit of progress, but nobody wants to get off at that intersection where there's no lights, it's dark.
Well,
And,
so,
I mean,
no, I get it. And
I'm just kind of venting, but
no,
I don't know how the rest of,
So, the problem with the lighting project, it's a 3.5-ish, and they still can't tell you for sure, but it's roughly a $3.5 million project. All right, but it's part, this is the problem. It's part of like a $200 or $150 million overarching project. They tied our light, they know we need lights, so they tied us in under a bridge project that they're not ready to do. And Tyler and I have reviewed the plans on that, and they're this thick, and you flip for 250 pages and you find the Minden portion, and our portion of that whole project's like 3 pages. Okay, maybe it's 10, but it's not much in comparison to the whole project. And so when you look, and I can send you that, it's a heck of a file, and it'll take you forever to flip to our portion of the project. But the problem is the project's so big, we're just a small percentage of the equation. They're gonna add lights to an overarching project for our benefit, but we're not the holdup. The lights aren't the holdup. They can't put the lights in until they do the bridge. So that's, just so y'all know, as frustrating as it is, and as bad as we want those lights, we did go, I got the line crew and Tyler, they went out and tried to get the lights over the bridge kind of glowing. Considering they pushed the project back, I may get him to go out there and just put some brighter LEDs up for the time being. I don't want to spend a whole lot on something that's going to be torn down, but if we could brighten our own self up. Something else I thought about doing, I wanna get your opinion on, totally off topic, but I went out, and Andy, I hadn't talked to you about this, but I went out to the rec center, when I left at night after one of the, tournament games. It's very dark on the service road. There's no need for it to be dark. We can go through there and light up the service road. I would like to just add lights, if nothing else, brightest lights we can get on the light poles we have. Just so from the interstate, it's like, what's going on over there? There's some activity there, because if you're on the service road at night, it's like abandoned land out there. So, I felt like y'all would definitely understand and support that. So that's something I'd like to do.
Mayor, when y'all were talking about some of that, if y'all get in talks with Senator Bass and them, what about a light right there at Industrial and 371? With tournament traffic, a lot of it may be coming out, that's a dangerous spot right there.
1,000%.
It is,
Yes.
and really increased since.
I think we need to see what happens with traffic after we get that other intersection fixed, and then, because that
Yeah.
will reduce some of it, but
Yeah.
it is a tough spot.
It's hard to get out there. Do we have to send officers?
Just crossing
at
more
times?
lanes right there to get, to get to the other side. I perceive with the big tournaments that are, are coming, I think it would somehow,
Oh, no
maybe in the
doubt.
future, we could get
What they do,
We're sending a letter. and
Yeah.
saying,
Well,
whatever.
so the way that works, we need to hold our request until we have repetitive, heavy traffic, because what they'll do, they do a traffic study. And if we request it during the off-season, it's not accurate to our needs.
Right.
They're gonna come back and say, this doesn't meet the demand at all. But if we could time it when we have a lot of tournament activities, when the need is really, really there, I think that would be wise. But we have a really good relationship with DOTD's traffic study, and if, Michael, we sent you that list of all those speed limit changes.
Yeah.
If you have some rebuttals, send me what you like changed, and, it was kind of mind blowing. We requested one speed limit change, and they wrote Tyler back a letter with 12 different recommendations. I don't think yours was even on it, was it? The one you asked for?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, they just cited 5 or 6 other,
No, it's
and
like,
they just gave me a letter I got today where they denied it, they denied. They wanna, actually,
Okay.
the way I read it, they wanna increase the speed. I'm like,
instead of lowering it.
yeah,
Well, that's why it's so bumpy.
Luckily, they
They
have
control their speed.
speed bumps built in.
Exactly, that's why it's so bumpy.
Slows everybody down.
and Tyler goes and makes the patches because the state, doesn't have any money to make it back. But anyway, I didn't mean to
I've been
digress.
getting caught about those who's over speeding myself personally.
Speeding, but see, if we raise the speed, I just don't like that idea. We need to object to that.
Yeah, well, and I just got.
Too
the letter this
pedestrian.
morning, so-
There's a pond right there, a lot of foot traffic, a lot of ducks,
That hill,
geese.
don't forget the hill.
Was the list?
Yes.
I'm just saying, I know we talked about one time between 531 and 80 and Homer Road, 531, with them big rolling hills with,
I'll give you,
I didn't know.
I've got it, Tyler just gave it to me, I'll make you a copy before you go and
Thank
you can
you.
see all the.
Yeah, that'd be
intersections
great.
that we're talking about.
They copied several people in. I even had called the mayor of Sibley and said, look, the DOTD, because of our request, is changing your speed limit through there. Yeah, you were I thought you were
Yeah,
copying.
you should have got a letter.
And so, when y'all get through with your detailed questions, I wanna go back to the overarching question. And Mulaney has prepared a new report on that, but finish any questions you have.
Mayor, did we, ever send a letter, I think I spoke with you one time before, down there Fire Bud that way, then you go Town and Country that way.
Yes,
And they did put a arrow going.
right.
But what about the other direction?
So they came out, they did it, and they responded very quickly.
Okay.
They came out like the next day and did another traffic study.
Mm,
And we've even adjusted the timing of that light again,
okay.
so it helped. Fiberbond quit asking for relief there because it helped so much. Now, they may they may be listening and say they need it again, so I wouldn't be surprised if they don't, because they keep growing.
Okay.
But, if you feel like there's a need, they're pretty good about coming out and doing another study.
I had a, citizen off of, Vamps Park call and, asked about it,
Yeah, yeah.
so that's why I was questioning about it.
Mayor, that's really all I got. You know, working off of draft 7, I'm gonna take some time and go over draft 8.
Draft 7, it is the same as draft 8A.
Yeah,
Okay, the 4, okay, now, C will be the 411 that you referred to.
Yes.
Okay.
B was 5, but I didn't get any interest in 5.
Yeah,
So
guys,
you can, we can do whatever you want.
okay.
It doesn't matter to me, other than my recommendation, Mulaney and I met, so back to the overarching thing. Mulaney put together for us 2 packets. You have, one is Plan A, one's Plan C. Plan C is what I'm kind of calling the 411. I met with Mulaney as early as this morning. I had her make a new chart because the old chart is just there's so many factors. So you have a new chart. Mulaney, can you go over the new chart with them? It's on the cover of 4A and 4B. I'm sorry, 4A and 4C.
I broke it down, you can see each fund, the total revenues versus total expenses. And the very 2 last lines, all we're looking at using from last year's, were the remaining balances left in the fund balances to cover these plans.
So if you notice, what we would be doing on both plans is, and this shows you really clearly, our general fund, your revenue, we're gonna spend every penny. Your water and electric fund, your revenue, we're gonna spend every penny. Your sales tax fund, we're gonna spend every penny, every penny. Now, these are projections. Your sales tax reserve funds, that's how much we would spend with 4C versus 4A. Your sales plant, sewer plant sales tax reserves, that's how much we would spend. So you see how much we have to pull out of the reserves. Now, the meeting I had with, this is clear as crystal to me. It makes a lot more sense than all those other moving parts of the form we've been given. You've been provided that form too. So what Mulaney and I did this morning is had a serious discussion about what we've done in the past. Every year we've been reducing these reserves, but they build right back up. And that is something that is very key. Last year we were able to put money in the bank because they built back up. The sales tax, so that's why every month when Mulaney announces the sales tax is positive, if it's positive, that means we're gonna build up the reserves. That's over the projections. That's gonna be over projections. If every month the report was it's negative, then we've gotta start cutting. Like if year after year we're going downward. That's, guys, everybody, that's why the investment in the rec center is so significant. In my opinion, it's our best shot in bringing in outside sales tax revenue to the city so that number continues to go up. So we can continue to provide the quality services that we provide for the citizens. And we're trending upwards. Ever since we've been in office, that number's trending up. We've received a lot of grant money. We've been, compared to administrations in the past, we've been killing it. I had a meeting with our DC lobbyist yesterday. Really good things. Now, it's a long game. It's probably gonna be April or May before they finalize everything. But we're getting through the lightning rounds on a lot of extremely game-changing and significant projects for this city. So Mulaney and I feel like we could do either the 4 or the 411 and be okay. Mulaney, correct me if I'm wrong. You say whatever you need to say.
Everything he said is what we discussed this morning. When we say we're using reserves, That's just using the extra built-up money that was left over from the past budget, so we may borrow 300,000, but end of this year, we could have ended up collecting an extra 500,000 what we budgeted, so we still put in the bank 200,000. So when we say we go in the hole, that's just meaning we're using some of the past year's built-up money that's sitting there, so we do it every year,
We've always done it.
and yeah, so every year we've gone over what we predicted we're gonna both collect, and so that's how that account is still constantly building. And that's for both the sales tax and the sewer plant.
So I think we can swing it if y'all, I just need to know, because Mulaney, our timeline for laying the budget out for review is Friday. If y'all aren't ready, then we will just not lay it out for review. But if y'all are ready, we can lay it out for review.
Okay, so this, they pay 4% across the board, that means everybody get,
Police and fire,
Okay.
everybody.
Light, water.
Light and water, line crew,
Water crew.
water crew,
Department A to Z,
okay, so the chief would get,
yeah, yeah,
both of them get their 4%.
everybody. That's what we've done year after year at term.
And that
They
would
would do across the board.
That would include all the current open positions, that starting pay, we bumped up 4% as well.
And then the annual, we still,
That still is the annual income.
And it's still bracket, so you're talking about 6.
It'll help us recruit, ma'am.
no wish list.
No. Well, I mean, we could do it, but
No, it's not.
I think I recommend we hold tight for a year on the wishes.
you know, I agree with the mayor, you know, I would like to, I know Tyler and the mayor has a pretty significant list of infrastructure, you know, things that we need to do, you know, and all that, and, you know, Lord knows if I'll be here or not next term, but, you know, we put something together that the next administration has on what we see infrastructure-wise and all that, in that 4 to 8 year range, you know, so that, you know, as we start getting this extra money, we can start doing, you know, but a lot of these projects that we know that we need to do, we've been aggressive in the grant area to pay for those, you know. But, I mean, so far, I'm good working off of the 4% across the board. I don't know how the rest of you feel, but that's kind of where I started my numbers. Like I said last time on draft 7, but, I just don't want to strain the bank either.
I'm not ready to, I wouldn't feel ready to lay it in review for the public quite yet.
Well, then what we'll do, if one of you are not ready, I would say let's,
Not really ready.
so what we do is plan another workshop. But I'm gonna need some, just be prepared, I'm running out of things to say, I give the same speech every time.
Need a little bit more.
Yeah. But any questions, if you have specific questions, sit down with Mulaney and, get those asked, and then what we'll do is reconvene in a couple more weeks. Probably let y'all study over it for 2 weeks and try to reconvene in about 2 to 3 weeks. Okay? Sound good? But I would encourage any of y'all with any questions to get with Mulaney and myself. Let's get anything squared away. We can make a whole new plan if you want to. I know, well, we've worked pretty hard on it. Okay?
I'll go back through it on my part and get with Mulaney, you know.
I'll schedule a meeting for 2 to 3, probably 2 weeks or so. we'll see how y'all's calendars look. Okay,
Sure.
all right. Well, this